Florida 408. Yeah. All right, we are talking the Florida East-West Tollway, Florida 408. We're going to Orlando because it's the Pro Bowl this week. Let's take a look at the route. We see Florida 408 goes laterally east-west across Orlando, just as it's advertised as the East-West Expressway. And we're going to start by talking about Eastbound 408. Right now we're on Florida 429, which is a different number than Florida 417 for reasons, even though they eventually become the same road, and they're both loops around Orlando. From Florida 429 northbound, you can see that there's a sign telling us that 408 is at this exit when we exit for Florida's Turnpike. On Florida's Turnpike itself, we have the exit for 408, the beginning of 408, and it is signed for Orlando and Titusville from the jump. I looked at Florida's Turnpike for last year's Pro Bowl, which you can check out right over here. Here's our ramp flying over Florida's Turnpike as we form 408. And then right at the start, we get a useful mileage sign telling us Orlando 10 miles away and Titusville 48. You're watching Control City Freak. This is the YouTube channel where we talk about highways and the places that they're signed to go to. If you dig this kind of content, why not give us a like? And if you really like it, why not subscribe? Yeah, subscribe. So our first exit going eastbound is for Good Homes Road. I love when street names editorialize like that. Good Homes, okay. Why not Suburban Sprawl Road? We get a helpful sign here telling us travel time to Kirkman Road 3 to 5 minutes, I-4 8 to 10 minutes, and that is really clear. A lot of these signs we cannot see very well on Street View. The East-West Expressway is known as the Spessard L. Holland East-West Expressway, but here we're getting a sign telling us it's also the Arnold Palmer Expressway as well, so I don't know, pick a name. Arnold Palmer, I guess we know a lot more than Spessard L. Holland. We're getting our first toll here, and this is our first of four. We see it'll be $1.25 for cash, different for other denominations. And we see we have an Easy Pass / Sun Pass in the middle, and you go outside to pay in cash. So pretty well designed here. I like when you get the cash option, honestly. I don't like when it's only pay by plate or pay by Easy Pass. At random interchanges, we are getting 408 East for Orlando and Titusville. Signage is consistent. We're meeting Florida Highway 435, Kirkman Road. This was requested by Andrew DeVore because it's where his mom grew up, and he says it was kind of ghetto back in the 80s. So thank you so much for that request. Andrew requested that on the Patreon, and you can make requests on the Patreon as well. Stay tuned to this space and the Patreon to find out about future episodes. You can also make requests the old-fashioned way with a $5 super sticker, which you can add as a comment to any video. If you aren't on the Patreon, you can make exits and point of interest requests that way as well, and I appreciate everybody who does both of those. Not too long after exit 5, we are getting our second toll, so they're giving us tolls fast and furious. This toll is $1.50 by cash. We get a good laundry list of exits here. We're seeing Orange Blossom Trail is coming up in a mile, I-4 after that, and Orange Avenue. Tampa Avenue is going to be our next exit. Right here is where we cross into Orlando, where the pavement changes right there on that line, but there is no Welcome to Orlando sign, at least not that I could see. Exit 8B, Tampa Avenue, is where you're going to get off eastbound if you were going to the Citrus Bowl, which is where the Pro Bowl events will be happening, along with Tinker Field. Here is our actual exit for Tampa Avenue, so if you wanted to go to that stadium, you could get off there. Here's a look at the Citrus Bowl itself. It is just to the north of this freeway. We pass right past it, so this was a good road for this event. After the Citrus Bowl, we get to Exit 9 Orange Blossom Trail, which is notorious for being like the worst street in Orlando. And it is also a tri-currency of US 17, US 92, and US 441. This was requested by TheDerpHog because he's been on all three independently. He's been on US 17 in the Carolinas and Virginia, on US 92 in Tampa, and on 441 in Florida. Thank you so much for that request. We're meeting kind of our biggest intersection here. We're meeting I-4, the main interchange of downtown Orlando. So I-4 is signed for Tampa and Daytona Beach, and we are signed for downtown Orlando and Titusville because we have one more exit for downtown after I-4. And you see we are still within the throes of the I-4 interchange when we have our exit for Orange Avenue, Florida 527, which is the exit for downtown Orlando. Here's a look at downtown, but we'll get a better view when we go westbound. We are meeting Florida Highway 15, which is Conway Road. At this exit, you would have to pay the toll as you leave the exit, and we're going to have a toll coming up for the main line soon. And here we go, we're going to have another $1.50 cash for the mainline toll and different amounts for other ways of paying. We're coming up to exit 14, and this was requested by New York Rambler. He drove from Altamont Springs to the airport in the middle of Hurricane Debbie last year and stayed on 436 to avoid I-4. This is going to be Florida Highway 436 that we're meeting, and we see that it is signed for Orlando International Airport here as well, as he mentioned. So thank you for that request, and we will soon have that exit for Florida 436. Next Florida State Highway we meet is 551 Goldenrod Road, and we see that there are more exits coming up shortly. We're going to be meeting 417, the other side of the Orlando Loop, so it is signed for Tampa and Daytona Beach. Those are I-4's signs. It's obviously going to be meeting I-4 in both directions to go toward I-4 for its control cities. We are coming up to our final toll. Our final toll is $1.25 by cash, and we see our toll apparatus right up there ahead. We hit this major curve to the north, so we will head toward the end of this road. And exit 23 is in fact the end of the road. We are meeting Florida Highway 50, East Colonial Drive, and we're getting toll road ends, and we are going to be given a choice between Challenger Parkway straight ahead or heading over to 50. We don't get a sign for Titusville here. They've signed Titusville all along. You'd think they want to tell us which way to go for Titusville. Following the exit ramp for Florida State Route 50, we see we're getting to Bonneville Road and 50 West, 50 East. And now finally, once we are meeting Florida 50, we do get a sign for Titusville. Turn right, turn left takes you back to Orlando. All right, let's take a look at westbound Florida 408. Westbound Florida 408 is signed for Orlando and Ocoee from the jump. I've got thoughts about that a little bit. Here's a nice reassurance shield. As soon as we get on it, we see this West Toll 408, and we are run by the Central Florida Expressway Authority. Just like the other way, westbound, we are getting a useful mileage sign right at the beginning telling us Orlando is 11 miles away and Ocoee is 21. Here's a look at what the toll booths actually look like. So we see it's open road tolling on the main line, and for cash, you head out to the other sides. I like that they have an exact change coin road there too, that they still got one of those. That's the way I like to do tolls. We're meeting 417 again, and it is signed the same way. We are still signed for Orlando and Ocoee. On 417, we see 408 is signed for Orlando and Titusville, so that makes sense. Obviously, Orlando is the much bigger draw than its suburb. Here's another look at exit 14, the one that New York Rambler requested. We do see the 436 shield right there, as that is Highway 436. We pass by a lake. There's tons of lakes in Orlando, so it's inevitable that we would go right past one at some point or another, and that is the Orlando Executive Airport just beyond that lake. Exit 11B is for Mills Avenue, and we can see the Orlando skyline peeking out behind us here. We're getting to our big intersection with I-4. I-4 signed for Daytona and for Tampa. We will be going to Daytona the week after the Super Bowl. We are going to be looking at a Daytona 500 related video. US 92, I believe, is what we'll be doing. And we are signed West Ocoee. It's hard to get too good of a view of downtown on the main line, but this is from a distributor ramp. We get a great view of downtown Orlando from this distributor ramp for I-4. And here is another view of downtown Orlando and its skyline. On the I-4 interchange, Florida 408 gets, not surprisingly, Ocoee, Titusville, and this is the only interchange where it would be signed not for Orlando, because this is the Central Orlando interchange. Here is where we actually cross right over I-4, that is I-4 below us there. Did a video about I-4, you can check that out right over here. And at the street level, we can see these ramps all over the place. This is quite a large interchange. Looks like pretty new construction as well. I believe they just redid this. We are meeting the Orange Blossom Trail once again, exit 9. It is requested by Daniel Dobish. Tinker Field was the old Twins spring training facility, so he used to go there a lot. And he says he's also been to many Citrus Bowls, including Peyton Manning's last win in college over Northwestern. The Citrus Bowl, how does it even count if Northwestern is going? We can see the Citrus Bowl there in the distance. If we are going westbound, this is our exit for the Citrus Bowl. Thank you so much for that request. And here is a look at the Citrus Bowl once again from 408. We see it a little clearer going in this direction. Like I say, it's right next to our road. We're meeting Florida 423, the John Young Parkway. I didn't show that going the other direction, so I'll show it now. And here is exit 5 for Kirkman Road once again, Florida 435. We're getting an overhead laundry list style thing. We're just getting 50 where we started. We're meeting 50 again. There was no exit for 50 going eastbound, but westbound we do have an exit for Florida 50. The Florida Turnpike is 2 miles away. Exit 1 is for Ocoee and Winter Garden, so this is where our Control City-age is going to be coming into play for exit 1, not for the final exit. Here is the actual exit for Florida 50, West Colonial Drive, and we're being told this is the last exit before Florida's Turnpike, although we're already paying a toll to be on this to begin with, so what's another toll? This was requested by Edwin Paschke because Florida 50 goes to Brooksville, where he used to live, and he's also been to lots of concerts at the Citrus Bowl, so that's cool, and thank you for that request. Right after meeting Florida 50, we have our choice for Florida's Turnpike. We've got South Miami and North Ocala. And that shall end Florida 408, so let's take a look at Todd's the way it should be for this road. I'm gonna say eastbound, it should be Orlando, and I would almost say Alafaya you can make an argument for because that's where it ends at 50, but that is not a incorporated city, that's a census designated place, but it is fairly large. But then again, when I looked up how to pronounce it, the first thing I found was a news story about a bunch of NIMBYs complaining about building apartments, so whatever, Titusville is fine. Westbound, I would say Orlando. Ocoee, if you look up Ocoee, which I also looked up to learn the pronunciation, it's really only known for one pretty horrible thing, so why not just sign Winter Garden? It's easier to pronounce, probably more people have heard of it, it's right there as well. There's similar populations, although really you could sign either one. Thank you so much for watching this episode of Control City Freak. We will be back next week for the Super Bowl. We are doing Southbound US 61, the Blues Highway, ending in New Orleans, so that will be awesome. Requests for that are already closed by the time you see this. And until next time, my name is Todd, and keep on trucking.